Hello, welcome back into the studio, and this video I'm going to share how I put this particular fabric journal, the pages together. I was asked by several people, including Amy. Hello Amy, thank you for watching the videos. How I actually put the pages together, from when I actually start them to how I actually put them together as a book. And you can see through this one I've put a few of the pages together. I've not put them in all the order that Roxy and Sarah has, as I started sort of slightly behind the sort of prompt challenge, but I've actually been putting them together in the same way. So my last one was the Christmas Village, and this is how I actually start the pages. I take a piece of wadding, or in this case it's the curtain interfacing, and I've got a piece of curtain that I've been using, which was Grandma's 1950s curtain, and I've just put a little bit of lining fabric in between. It can be anything. This one's a bit of recycled, I think it was a bit pillowcase actually. And then what I do is I leave myself a margin, and then on this side I actually tack all the way round so that it becomes the page for me to actually work on. So that's now tacked, and I've left myself a margin. So here is the margin on here, you can see here. And also when I'm putting the page together, I make sure that the pieces that I'm using to decorate the page go over the actual join of the page, and I'll show you more on this one. You can see the whole strip goes across, and so does this ribbon, so that I can actually then join them in. And same with this little piece of scrap here. I left sewing this the cantha quilting on here until I'd actually put both pages together, so that it could, you know, it's that continuation across the page, so it looks like one whole page. And you can see on here this Christmas tree netting goes across the page. So I've done the same here with this little strip. So the first thing I do is, when I finish this page, I don't always do this, because when you've got the pages together, you've then got to cover this one, so this one would all be in place. And then I just take another piece, pop that on there, fold it under, and then stitch it in place. But I'll show you a bit more detail once we get to that. Okay, so we've got to this. I then fold all these extra pieces of fabric back and pin them out of the way, so there's no way I'm going to trap them, especially this fine glitter mesh. All right, the sheer type fabric and the lace, I pin it out of the way. I then make sure that the wadding is in line, so I'm just going to fold that back so you can see, is in line with the edge of the last page. And then I'm going to pin, so that I've pinned it in place. I'm actually pinning as close to the spine of the last page as possible. All right, okay, now it's up to you when you're putting these together whether you want the margin over the top of this so that you can fold it in, or in this case I've actually put it so that it is actually underneath and sewn in place. All right, so I'm now going to slip stitch, I've got a knot on the end, slip stitch this in. Now on the edges you have to fold those pieces in so that they're out of the way. All right, and I hide my knot, and then on this edge piece I'm going to make sure that I do quite a few over stitches to make sure that it really holds. And then I will do, they call it an invisible stitch, ladder stitch, knit stitch, because what you're doing is you're securing it, but you're also almost hiding your stitches by taking one side from one, and then on your other one you're taking a stitch and you're going all the way along the page, manipulating it as you go so that the two edges come together. And it doesn't have to be you know, small stitches. You can do them, yeah, just to get them together. And I'm trying to make sure that I'm going through to the wadding as well as the actual fabric. So how's everybody else doing with the prompts? I must admit, the Christmas village I did find difficult, as I've said in my previous video. I found that quite a one to get my head round, to how I wanted to put in a whole village or represent lots of little houses on my page. But I'm glad that, that it's done. I enjoyed it in the end. Because it was a challenge to actually do, and it's that old adage, isn't it, is challenging yourself to do things that you wouldn't normally do, you want to do, but you know, and when you do, you get it done. It takes a bit. I don't know if everybody else finds this, that every single project has that sticking point, and sometimes every one of these pages has had a sticking point. I've got through, and I've had to push through in some ways of how to finish it, how to actually finish the pages. And my needle's just come undone, so I'm just going to rethread my needle. Just when we're getting towards the end, it's typical. All right. Now, as we get closer to the edge of the page, you need to make sure again that you fold over the edge of the page, so that when you get to the edge of the page on this side, there we go. There we go, and nearly there. And as you get to the top, you need to make sure that again you over stitch the page. Okay. Ooh, that's snapped. So luckily enough, because I'm going to actually do the other side, that won't actually matter. So you can see now I've got to this. All right. You now need to slip stitch this page into here. So I will just take a new thread and needle and just, again, hide your knot. And then just slip stitch all the way to pull this side of the page together. And you can see it's quite a quick process. It makes it so that the two go together quite well. There we go. Normally I would do this, you know, sat with the family, watching telly, you know. But I actually do mine either on a tray when I'm putting it together, if I'm sat with it on my lap, so that I have got that area to stretch it out. Or I normally would work on a dinner mat. So here's my dinner mat. I would normally work on an old dinner mat, and what it does, because of the cork backing, it helps to keep all your pieces together on the actual mat, and gives you a nice sort of lightweight surface to work on. I even quilt over the top, quite large quilts with the mat, because it pulls the quilt around the mat, right nearly to the end. And then again, I just must make sure that on the end I get to, because it snapped last time, need to make sure that I overstitch quite well. Okay, and just keep pulling it together so that you're hiding any of the rough edges. Luckily enough, because you're leaving fabric, or in this case, you know, I leave fabric to go over both pages, the fabric that you're covering the seam with goes over it so you can't see it, but also when you stitch it together, it gives it extra stability. So there we go, we're up to the end, and then I'm just going to make sure that I fold over the end. And remember, it's a fabric book, we're having fun. It doesn't have to be perfect. Alright, but yeah, my pages do match, luckily enough. They don't always, and I just hide that fact, but also I think that, you know, fabric as well, it gives. And then I'm just going to hide my thread over there. So we've got to that. I would then undo my pins, take my pins out, and then these pieces now get put under there. This gets folded, all right, and gets folded in, and then we'll get stitched. This I've got to continue stitching all the way along. All right, this I will put some stitches in just to hold and slip stitch across, just to stop this fraying, because it's actually starting to, this sheer is actually starting to fray. Now this bit here I will sew all the way around, and I'm going to have this as almost like a stopper so that it matches this little piece up here, so it stretches the page out. But I'm actually going to have to, because this is a scalloped edge, I'm going to have to cut this as a scalloped and then stitch it in with just a few stitches to hold. So there you go, you can see how I've stitched that page in to the book. Now when I come to this page, if you think that's now shifted that way, I will now put this one on the top of there, and it's got an overlap all the way around, so I will fold that in. I've still made sure I've got an overlap that I won't stitch down at the moment, and then I will fold down, and then if I need to I will blanket stitch the edge like I've done here, or I will put some lace between. I will decide whether I want some lace along here, like this page has got this trimming, this page has got lace, so I will put up to the page some lace, and I think actually I might put another bit of this lace along the edge of this, because it will just give it a nice sort of snow-like appearance. All right, and then what I'll do is I'll do a flip and show you when I do the next page how it's finished. Okay, so I'm now going to be decorating this page along with my next page prompt, which I've yet to choose. So there we go. Hope you've enjoyed just seeing how I put the pages together. And I'm going to go away and do some more in stitching. So I hope you're enjoying Roxy's Journal of Stitch. I really have, and I'm really getting into it now. I'm choosing this red and white retro type theme. I've really enjoyed it. So there we go. Thank you for watching. Now, if you haven't already done, I don't know if you want to subscribe so that you can see this page finished, but also the other pages in the book. But go over to Roxy's Journal of Stitch because it really is, it's a lovely group on Facebook, and the creators on there are, well, the pages are magical. They're really inspirational but magical. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.